Okay. I hadn't started the recording. Now we're doing it, and I'll post the recording for you too, and for the other people in 110. I'm not going to post it in the bio 11. Rachel, you got me into a bit of trouble by mentioning 110 in class today. I was hoping nobody would, because as soon as that got mentioned, I got attacked essentially by this one woman who said, "Well, why can't I have that information?" Oh God! So I said, "You didn't enroll," but I also assured her that everything that you're going to get, everybody can get off of the Canvas notes, and that's true, you know. So everybody has access to all the information. So why are we doing what we're doing? To build your confidence, to show you the types of questions, to get you prepared, make things a little bit smoother. Okay, so here's that sample test. This test was given, I believe, in the year 2000. It's an old one, but anatomy, as you know, doesn't change that rapidly. Okay. I had thought of going through it one by one, then I thought about going at just the odd ones, and I'll also have you chime in. Otherwise, I think I might lose your attention. Okay, I'm going to start with number one, and I'm hoping that you have read through these already, but let's see what we can do. The lining of the lumen of the GI tract, okay, the inside of the GI tract, the innermost layer, is what? What's it called? What's that layer called?
Tunica mucosa.
Tunica mucosa is correct, okay? And that's what I want, if you can guys do it. Share the answers with me, rather than one person taking over, which often happens. If you find that you're that one person who's answering everything, slow down a bit. And then if the other people don't chime in, go ahead and give me the answer. Okay. Tunica mucosa. Any problem with that? If I don't hear any problem, then we'll just move ahead. I think what I'm going to do is not do quite everything in order. I'm not going to do every one of the 100 questions unless you have specific ones. I'm going to do those questions that I think take a little bit more thought on your part. Number 2 is one of those. The digestion of proteins, which is by chemical digestion. Where does it take place?
Stomach and small intestines.
Both. The stomach and small intestine is correct. Okay. The digestion of proteins takes place in both. No digestion of proteins in the mouth. Small intestine only has to be the wrong answer. Stomach only has to be the wrong answer. And there's no digestion whatsoever of any type in the colon. Okay. Number 3, which of the following digestive organs is also an endocrine gland? Okay. Well, we're looking through this, and which one is it?
The pancreas.
Yes, it's the pancreas. Okay. The pancreas is an accessory organ to the digestive system. Okay. 4, the longitudinal bands of smooth muscle that are found on the colon. Now, I'm asking the question, but I'm telling you something. I'm telling you there are 3 longitudinal bands. They are longitudinal. Okay, they are smooth muscle. And what are they called?
Tenier coli.
Tenier coli, yes. Okay, so this is the correct answer. But there's a lot more in that question than it looks like. That question can be rearranged so many ways. Okay, so don't expect this exact question, but expect a form of it. Okay. Number 5, the ampulla of Vader receives fluid products from 3 organs. You may not have thought of that. Which one of the following does not contribute to the ampulla of Vader? Okay, just yes or no. Does the liver contribute?
Is it the pancreas?
No.
The duodenum.
The duodenum. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew I wouldn't say it right, but at least I got it.
It's the duodenum. Okay. That receives material from the ampulla of Vader. 6, the most inferior part of the stomach. Well, that's an easy one. I hope it's got to be an easy one. That's going to be the pylorus. So I'll go ahead and answer that one. 7 is false. Only the upper part of the esophagus is under voluntary control. Number 8, the tunica muscularis. Now, you got to stop and think here. Maybe you don't, but the majority of people will. What's the tunica muscularis? What's the thing I could confuse it with? I could confuse it with the muscularis mucosa. That's part of the tunica mucosa. The tunica muscularis, though, is an entity of its own. Counting from the inside out, it's the 3rd layer of the GI tract. And what kind of muscle? It's got to be smooth muscle, yet there isn't an answer. Oh, here's an answer that says smooth and skeletal. It is not skeletal. That's not the answer. The answer is visceral. Okay. I want to just sort of knock home the idea that visceral muscle is the same as smooth muscle. 9, the lamina propria is part of what? Now, there were 3 parts to the first layer. The first layer is the tunica mucosa. It consists of epithelial cells or microvilli. It consists of the lamina propria and the muscularis mucosa. The answer for number 9 was the tunica, I can get it right here, mucosa. The tunica serosa is another name for, well, it's another name for the adventitia. We don't use that term adventitia a lot. Back in the year 2000, when this test was written, I guess I used it more often. 11. Most digestion takes place where? Your turn.
Small intestine.
Small intestine. Okay. Which one of the 5 choices has no, which one or ones of the 5 choices have no digestion? The colon and the cecum, which is a part of the colon. Colon has no digestive function whatsoever. 12 is too simple. I hope I can skip a couple here now. The sphincter of Oddi, number 13, controls the passage of material from the ampulla of Vader into the duodenum. And it's simply a true and false question. So is it true that that's what the sphincter of Oddi does? Or is it false?
I put true.
Yep,
It's true. It's true. Okay, it's the correct direction. The bile does aid in the emulsification of fat. That's true. The lamina propria is part of the tunica mucosa. We answered that ourselves a moment ago. It's one of the 3 parts of the tunica mucosa. 16, the pancreas produces enzymes primarily for the digestion of what?
Starches.
Starches. I could have put the word carbohydrates in there, but obviously I couldn't put both and not confuse people. The primary function of the colon is compaction of waste and which one of the following four?
Reabsorption of water.
That's the major function of the colon, reabsorption of water. The first or proximal section of the small intestine. Now, this one, I put the word proximal in parentheses to not hear it from somebody says, what do you mean by proximal section? Or what do you mean by first section? They mean the same thing. First part of the small intestine is the one, then the jejunum, and then the ileum. Of the following, the distal end of the colon. So here I'm using the word distal, and you got to think the far end of the colon is what? Which one of these is farther along than the other three?
Dudum, how do you say it?
No one's coming
Like the
across.
lower part, the lowest part.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah,
Sigmoid colon.
Sigmoid colon.
Okay.
So was number 18 the duodenum, and then 19's the sigmoid colon?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, if I skip one, it's because I thought it was too easy for us, and I don't want us here. Well, frankly, I planned on 1 hour, and we're already at number 20, so we're making good speed. The main site of starch digestion, number 20. Okay, what do we got?
Mouth.
Small intestine.
Okay, the mouth next to useless. Mouth is next to useless. The salivary amylase doesn't function at pH of the stomach, and as soon as you swallow, it's useless. So the answer, I think I heard it, is the small intestine. That's where the greatest amount of starch or carbohydrate digestion takes place. 21, large inner folds of the stomach, they're called what?
Rugae.
Yes, rugae. Thank you. Okay. Stop me if you feel I need to explain the answer. But if you just were verifying the answer and you're satisfied, well, then I guess stay silent. 22, which is an accessory organ of the digestive system? There's 4 accessory organs and only one is listed here.
Gallbladder?
Yes, it is. Chemical digestion in the stomach is concerned primarily with the breakdown of, the answer here is protein. I wanted to be sure in this kind of question that somebody could distinguish between chemical and mechanical digestion. The stomach mechanically digests everything. The most significant function of the salivary gland is not a digestive function, but a lubricant, to be a lubricant so that we can chew and swallow food. The lining, number 25, of the lumen. No, I'm sorry. The lining of the lumen of the colon, okay, is composed of what tissue type?
Epithelial.
Say it again, please.
Epithelial.
Yes. Okay. The reason I asked this question is because I defined epithelial for you earlier in the class. Epithelium covers or lines. None of the rest of these do that. Okay. When we get into tissues coming up in the next or last section, you'll really get to understand this. The fatty apron is the other name for the greater omentum. 27. Which of the following is not one of the functions of the liver? I don't usually like backwards questions like this, but I did ask it, so here it is. Which one's not a function of the liver?
Breakdown of RBCs.
That is a function of the liver.
Production of digestive enzymes.
That's the correct answer. Okay. The liver does the other four things and many others. In fact, the liver has, by count, somebody counted them up, 505 beneficial functions. I don't know what they are. Okay, the falciform ligament, which is a serous membrane, but the falciform ligament and the lesser omentum are both associated with which organ? Well, if you can answer one, the falciform ligament suspends what organ in the abdomen? That one's the liver. Okay. The lesser omentum goes from the lesser curvature of the stomach to the liver also, and the back body wall. So liver is the correct answer for number 28. I've asked that question over the years, and it is one that usually costs people a point. 29. The sphincter muscle that regulates the entrance into the colon is what?
The pyloric sphincter.
No, that's out of the pylorus of the stomach. We want into the colon. That's the ileocecal valve. From the ileum of the small intestine into the cecum of the colon. All vessels of the heart enter or exit near the base of the heart, okay, rather than the apex. Well, yes, that's true. The apex doesn't have any entrances or exits. 31, you're not going to miss this. Veins always carry deoxygenated blood. Absolutely false. Absolutely false. They can carry oxygenated blood, such as the pulmonary veins do. The mitral valve is found at the exit of what?
Left atrium.
Left atrium is the answer. Okay. Now, if you can't envision what the heart looks like or the diagram, you'll have trouble with these. But I'm sure, since we've talked about it, you won't have that problem. The pulmonary semilunar valve has 3 valve cusps. That's true. The aortic semilunar has 3 valve cusps. That's also the case. And the tricuspid has 3 valve cusps. The only one of the 4 that has just 2 is the so-called bicuspid or mitral valve. What type of tissue, number 34, composes the tricuspid valve? So now you got to read your answers. Collagen, never heard of that, not yet. Myocardial tissue, endocardial tissue, epicardial tissue. Epicardial, epicardium. Endocardial, endocardium. Okay, the valve cusp and everything inside of the heart is coated and composed of endocardium. And endocardial then is the correct answer. The large posterior coronary sinus on the back of the heart receives deoxygenated blood from where? And that's from the coronary veins. The coronary arteries come from the aortic semilunar valve, taking oxygenated blood to the surface of the heart. But then when it's deoxygenated, it comes back through the coronary sinus. Chordae tendineae attached to both semilunar valves. True or false? Come on, it's 50-50 here.
False.
It's false. It's false. The chordae tendineae only attach to the tricuspid and mitral valves. There are no chordae tendineae attached to the semilunar valves. Okay. 37, papillary muscles are found where? Okay, so we got the atria, the ventricles, all four chambers of the heart, the right chambers or the left chambers. Papillary muscles form the anchor for chordae tendineae, which run from the papillary muscle to the valve cusps, if that helps you. Did you leave this with a question mark or did you make it a stab at it?
The ventricles.
Absolutely. They're located in the ventricles. Now, when you look at the diagram that I told you to look at, the one I put on the board or the one that's on my website, you might want to have these questions in front of you, and they'll be a lot easier to answer. Okay. Which of the following is the mitral valve? The answer to that is the bicuspid, right here. 39, the valve cusps are composed of what? Well, we actually asked that here on the tricuspid valve. The valve cusps are composed of endocardium, okay. Epicardium, myocardium, and then inside the endocardium. 40, the vessels that originate within two of the cusps of the aortic semilunar valve are a brachiocephalic artery. I'm going to start that over. I stumbled through that question. 40. The vessels, plural, that originate within two of the cusps of the aortic semilunar valve. We know the aortic semilunar valve has three cusps, but two of them have arteries originating out of them. Now, what are those arteries? Brachiocephalic, carotid, subclavian, or coronary arteries?
Is it carotid?
No, thanks for trying though. If you remember the aortic arch that I showed you, A for aorta, B for brachiocephalic, C for carotid, and S for subclavian, you would associate all the first three with the aortic arch and not with the aortic semilunar valve. The correct answer is the coronary arteries, the right and left coronary arteries that take blood to the heart itself. (41) Largest chamber of the heart, left ventricle. 42. Which of the following terms best describes the IV septum? Okay, now we're looking at pericardium. We're doing it backwards. Endocardium and visceral pericardium. You know what? The correct answer is skip down a page down here. It's one of these two. The IV septum is best described as muscle myocardium. Most of the arteries of the body are muscular. They're the smaller ones, But we don't have huge vessels except for the aorta and the vena cava and the pulmonary trunk. Most of the vessels are muscular. The heart's located in what part of the body? It's between the lungs. If you look at the terms, pick one. I'm sort of getting the feeling you got halfway through the test and you haven't got this far. That's okay. We're here now. The heart's located in the mediastinum. Mediastinum. The base of the heart is its most inferior part. Well, that's absolutely false. Its most inferior part is the apex, pointing downward. The 46, the aorta, is an example of, in this case, an elastic artery, a large artery. One that blows up when it fills and then crushes down, force the blood out of itself. 47, tunica media is made up of, okay? And I'm looking for the correct answer myself. It's there. First, you have to know what the tunica media is. In a blood vessel, the outer layer is the tunica externa, then the tunica media, then the tunica interna, also known as the tunica intima. There's that middle layer, though, of muscle. Okay? And the tunica media is made up of muscle, but it's not going to be skeletal. It's going to be smooth muscle. Okay. Switching to the urinary system. Both the glomeruli and the vasa recta are examples of capillary beds, small places, small vessels where gas exchange can occur, gas and exchange. This is a true or false question.
True.
It's true. Thank you. Okay. 49. The layer of tissue that lines the lumen of a vessel. Now we're on the inside. It's the tunica intima. Now I could have also said tunica interna. I don't like to fool people. Usually I'll go for one of the other answers, or I'll give both answers, one in parentheses. The vasa vasorum is found where? This is a circulatory system within the largest vessels. Because they are so large, they can't suck oxygen and nutrients out of the blood that's passing through them. They actually have to take the blood into the vessel wall, and they're found inside of the elastic arteries. Vasa vasorum. The coronary sinus contains blood that would be considered what? Well, we talked about it just a moment ago, so it's deoxygenated. It's coming back into the heart after having passed the blood, having passed through the coronary arteries along the surface of the heart, and then back in a deoxygenated state through the coronary sinus. Okay. You asked me if the diagram that's going to be on the test is this same diagram, or I might have led you to believe it's the same diagram. You need to know this diagram, but I don't believe I'm using this diagram on the test. Okay. I'm using one, though, that's just like it, and I'm duplicating it maybe 7, 8 times with a different arrow pointing to something each of the 7 or 8 times. Okay, this sort of just saves space. It's on this test, it's question 52 to 60. 52 is here, and wants to know what this structure is. This is the pulmonary semilunar valve. Now, if you want to put next to 52, the answer is AB. Okay. This was meant for a scantron. 53 is over here. And these are the 4 pulmonary veins. And the answer would be D. 54 is this valve. And I'm careful on the test to tell people I'm pointing at a valve. And this is the mitral valve. The mitral valve is also bicuspid, but it's AD for 54. 55, these are the chords, the chordae tendineae. And those are C, answer C. 56 is a papillary muscle, which is myocardium also. And papillary muscle is B. 57 can be pointing to the epicardium or visceral pericardium. So we have to look and see which term I used, and I used visceral pericardium for 57. That's ACE. 58, the inferior vena cava, ABCE. And 59 was the IV septum, and that's E. Okay. 63 says that both kidneys and part of each ureter are retroperitoneal. What do you think about that? True or false?
True.
It's true. 62, which of the following is not a function of any part of the urinary system? A backwards question again. It's not a function of the urinary system. You ask yourself, production of lymphocytes. I don't remember that. That's probably going to be the answer. Let's check. Collection of waste. Now that's a function. Maintenance of body water level, that's a function. Maintenance of salt level, that's a function. So I was correct. A is the correct answer here for 62. 63, portion of the kidney through which the arteries enter and the veins and ureter exit. In other words, the indented medial part of the kidney is called the hilum or hilus, D. 64, the physiological unit of the kidney, nephron, A. If I'm thinking or hoping that it's too easy for you, I'm going to continue to give you the answer right away. Otherwise, I'll stop. And if I'm wrong, you just stop me. Just 65. Prior to entering the ureter, urine collects in what part of the kidney? Okay, in the renal column, renal pelvis, renal vein, renal cortex, or medulla. What's the specific area that urine collects in just before it exits into the ureter? Okay. No guess? Renal pelvis.
Wow.
Renal pelvis. 66. The capillary network associated with each physiological unit of the kidney is what? Well, you know, there are 2 capillary networks, the glomerulus and the vasorectum. So we better not find both of them here. I only find glomerulus. And that's the answer. 67. Which of the following is in the proper sequence? I always feel that this is going to cause people to stumble. And when I look at the answers they give, they get it right almost every single time, which is in the proper sequence. Well, it's C. Blood comes into the glomerulus. Plasma is pressed out into Bowman's capsule. Plasma enters the loop of Henle. And from the loop of Henle, it finally reaches the collecting duct. The others are in a jumbled, incorrect order. 68, the structure between the internal nares and the larynx is what?
Pharynx.
Pharynx is right. Okay, the pharynx. The vasa recta, we're back now on urinary system. I used to go through a test like this and try to group similar type questions together. I didn't do it here. The structure between the vasa recta collects desirable material from the loop of Henle by dialysis, filtration that's facilitated, pinocytosis, or phagocytosis. The main one is, what do you associate with the kidney? Dialysis. It's not the only one, but of the ones I listed here, it's the only one. Bowman's capsules, 70, are located where? In the renal medulla, that's in the middle? No. In the renal capsule, I didn't give you that term, so that can't be the right answer. In the renal cortex, that's it. In the renal cortex. We know they're part of the bladder. So, part of the kidney. So they can't be part of the urinary bladder. Correct answer is renal cortex. 71. As urine exits the collecting ducts, what does it enter first?
Minor.
renal- Say it.
The minor.
Calyx.
Yeah.
Actually, it's pronounced calyces.
Okay.
A singular is calyx, and you're right, minor calyces. From there to the major calyces, from there to the renal pelvis, and then into the ureter. 72, which of the following is not an example of connective tissue? This one, I can't believe it. It stumps people all the time. Did it stump you? Which is not a connective tissue. Bone, for instance, is a connective tissue. Blood is a connective tissue. Fat is a connective tissue. Which one of these is not a connective tissue?
Skin.
Adipose.
You know, it's skin. It's skin. Skin is an organ, not a tissue. It's the largest organ in the body. 73. Serous membrane that interconnects the parts of the small intestine. Okay, serous membrane sort of looks like stained glass, but quite flexible. And interconnects the various parts of the small intestine. One type of it does. Which one is this? It's the mesenteries proper. Mesenteries proper interconnect the parts of the small intestine. Number 74, though, asks the serous membrane that connects the large intestine to the body wall. Well, that's not going to be the same answer. It's going to be the mesocolon. Now you'll find these in the notes. I'm not getting the feeling right now that they're on the tip of your tongue, but they are all listed under serous membranes. It's the last couple of paragraphs on the digestive system. 75. The thoracic cavity is lined by. It's lined by the parietal serous membrane, and that is called the parietal pleura. The lungs themselves are lined by the visceral pleura. 76. The thin walls of capillaries consist only of what? Capillary is so thin, it doesn't have all three layers. It doesn't have the externa, the media, and the intima. It only has the intima, okay? Also known as the interna, of course. So that's it. Very, very thin walled. So blood, oxygen, and nutrients moving through and move across into the tissues. 77, another serous membrane attachment question. The serous membrane that attaches the liver to the diaphragm is what? We actually answered this in a previous question.
The falciform ligament.
That's it, falciform ligament. 78, the serous membrane that attaches the oviducts to the dorsal body wall is which of these serous membranes? It's the broad ligament. The serous membrane, another one, 79, that attaches the liver to the stomach and also to the dorsal body wall. This one we did a moment ago. This is the lesser omentum. The lesser omentum and the falciform ligament, both attached to the liver. 80, the capillary network that retrieves useful material from the loop of Henle is which of the following? It's the capillaries that spread out all over the loop of Henle.
Vasa recta.
I didn't. You must have said vasa recta because I heard the recta part. It's the only
Yes,
one with it.
C.
That's it.
Yes.
C is it. 81. The sac that contains the heart, but not directly attached to the heart. Okay, when you work on the cat next week, you'll be able to move this sac around on the surface of the heart. What is it called? It's, if you look at the last name, pericardium, that surrounds the heart. Pericardium surrounds the heart. Pleura, that's the lungs. Pleura, that's the lungs. Mediastinum is the area between the lungs. It's got to be one of these first two. The visceral pericardium would be on the heart itself and not be movable. It's the parietal pericardium that forms the outer sac. A is the answer. 82, in systemic circulation, veins always travel away from the heart and towards capillaries. You got to get this one.
False.
It's false. Okay. I hope the rest of you are just being silent because we've gone over this one a couple of times. Arteries carry blood away from the heart. Veins carry blood towards the heart. 88, which of the following would be expected to have the thickest tunica media? That's the central portion of the cross section of the vessel. Which one's going to be thicker? It's going to be the elastic artery. 84, which of the following is the only layer found in capillaries? That's a repeat question. We just did it. It's the tunica intima. Okay. 85. The cusps of the mitral valve are prevented from entering into the left atrium, flowing backwards into the atrium. By what?
The chordae tendineae.
Yes, chordae tendineae. I don't know what I did with 86 on this one, but it's not there. Doesn't matter. 87. Blood returning to the right atrium from coronary circulation enters through I'm gonna give it to you, coronary sinus. The vessel on the back of the heart is called the coronary sinus, and its entrance into the right atrium is also called the coronary sinus. Now, since I didn't mention that to you earlier, and I didn't mention it to the class, I don't believe at all, you don't expect to see that on the test. The IV septum is mostly composed of myocardium. Okay. I'm running into a section where it looks like I asked the same question again. 89, blood that has had all of its formed elements removed, but nothing else, just the formed elements are filtered out. What's it called?
Plasma.
Plasma, right? Which is agranulocytic?
Lymphocyte.
The lymphocyte. The granulocytes all end in fill. The agranulocytes don't have that ending. They are the monocyte or the lymphocyte. 90, which of the following is most likely to increase during a recurrent disease such as tuberculosis? Malaria would be another example. We gave the functions of the 5 major types of white blood cells, and the one that reappears to fight recurring disease is the monocyte. The ability of some white blood cells and microglia, that's in the nervous system. You don't have to know that, but white blood cells and microglia, their ability to move between cells and capillary walls is referred to as what?
B. Diapedesis.
Diapedesis, yes. Okay. If you ever saw the movie The Blob, I can't find anybody who remembers it anymore. They remade it a couple times. But this thing could slither underneath doors and come up and eat you. Okay. Fibrinogen is not found in
Serum.
serum is the answer. It is in blood, it is in plasma, but it is not in serum. 94, red and white blood cells and thrombocytes are all formed elements. That's true. Okay. 95, which of the following has a bilobe nucleus? You may have to look at the picture it's provided in the lecture, but it's the eosinophil. The surface of the heart,
What did you say was 95?
I've got it highlighted.
Okay, thanks.
96, the surface of the heart is the visceral pericardium. It's also known as the epicardium. Renal pyramids, number 97, are located in the medulla. '98 is a repeat question. I probably was working up the test and then gonna cut some out, but it's not your test anyway. But 98, the ovary is attached to the body wall by the broad ligament again. '99, the white blood cell that serves as the primary defense against bacteria for all of us. That's
Neutrophil.
neutrophil, one with the multiple nuclear lobes. And I didn't give you this one, but figure it out for me. RAV, which stands for right atrioventricular valve. Right side atrioventricular valve is another name for what? Tricuspid. Now, you can reason it out, and you did, but it's not a question I'm allowed to ask, because in my mind anyway, because I didn't give it to you. Okay, I didn't give it to anybody. So, but that is the answer. Okay. What else do you have to, or do you want to know about the test on Tuesday, if there's anything?
When you ask about the salivary glands and you talk about the parotid and the submandibular, are you going to be referring to it as those names, or will you use Stenson's and Wartson's for the ducts?
Oh, that's a situation where I don't want to get into a contest with somebody. So when I do that, I use both terms. I will say the parotid duct, and then in parentheses behind it, Stenson's. Okay, so that you will know, or you can ask. We'll all be there in the classroom together. You can ask me what I mean. That's one thing about being in person, rather than far away. You can come up and ask, like a couple people did today. So, okay. Okay.
In
Okay,
the
well,
test material, sorry, I had a
no,
quick
go ahead.
question. So the test material is all the indented material, correct?
That's correct.
Awesome.
Okay, it's all indented. That means, you want to know that material. I hope that this test, going over it here, calms you down if you were anxious to begin with, because now you know what the questions are like. You figure out, well, gee, I did 3/4 of them. Just got to learn the rest.
Will you be doing an hour review, like if people want to come in early before on the 12th?
No,
It's just come in and we'll take the test right away?
it takes the test too.
Okay.
No, I can't even have the room usually much earlier than that. Sometimes I come into the room and it's empty and I can let you in. Other times somebody else is using it. I can't. I think, frankly, with what you've had anyway, for sure, and the fact that I'm going to post it later tonight for anybody in 110, okay? If it gets shared with any of the people in Bio 11, I'm not doing the sharing, but I suppose you might, and there's, that's totally up to you, okay? Like I was told, or we know that you're going to get a grade for this class. It's going to be, nice. almost like buying a grade. I wish I had that opportunity when I was in school, but I didn't. And you're going to get a grade for it, and I hope you got some benefit out of what we just did. Okay, and I'm going to keep up more sort of sessions on a voluntary basis with you. Okay, so I'm ready to go. Are you?
Just one question.
Yes.
Sorry. I just wanted to confirm. So what's due by this test on Tuesday? It's going to be the
Nothing.
out.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Things are only due before the practicums. Okay.
Okay, gotcha. That's when the outline's
Okay,
due.
and that's chapter 18 and 19 before P3. That's what later. Okay. Nothing
Okay.
special.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
Thanks, man.
I thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.